Have you ever heard the story of the killer with a hook for a hand? An urban legend that has been told for generations around campfires, on dark nights and in frightened whispers. The story is simple but terrifying. A couple in love, a car parked in an isolated spot, and a news report on the radio about a fugitive maniac with a hook for a hand. Many are familiar with the traditional version, where the couple narrowly escapes, only to find the terrifying hook hanging from the car door handle. But what if this legend is not just a made-up story? Behind the words repeated over the years, there may be a grain of truth. Real events, distorted by time, become cautionary tales. The fear we feel when hearing these stories may be a reflection of something much deeper and much more real. So get ready. Let's explore the origin of this legend and discover how much reality and fiction mix. The story of the hook-wielding killer may seem like just another urban legend, but what if it has its roots in real events? To understand it better, we need to go back in time and analyze the historical context that may have given rise to this terrifying tale. In the United States in the 1950s, a period of great social transformation, several stories emerged that served as a warning to young people about the dangers of the night. Many scholars believe that the legend of the hook may have been inspired by real reports of criminals who attacked couples in isolated places. Police records from the time show cases of murders and kidnappings in remote spots, where couples used to meet. In some of these cases, the criminals used improvised weapons or had physical deformities, which may have contributed to the image of the one-armed killer. In addition, newspapers of the time reported the existence of a killer who terrorized communities in the 1940s and 1950s, known as the Phantom of the Highway, who attacked drivers and couples parked in isolated areas. The fear generated by these crimes helped to spread rumors and fuel the legend. Over time, the story became increasingly exaggerated, incorporating new details and transforming into the popular version we know today. But why does this legend continue to haunt us? Part of it is due to the social anxieties of the time and the need for cautionary tales. Concerned parents saw the tale of the hook as a way to warn young people about the dangers of straying too far from the safety of home. The story resonated so deeply that it became part of the collective imagination, being told and retold over the decades. Fear has an amazing power to shape stories. It turns real events into myths, warnings into legends, and suspicions into lasting terrors. And so the hook-wielding killer lives on, not in the shadows of a deserted road, but in the minds of those who still fear him. Why do stories like the one about the hooked killer continue to haunt us, even after decades? What makes these narratives remain alive, being told and retold across generations? The answer is deeply rooted in human psychology. Fear is one of the most primitive and powerful human emotions. It exists to protect us from danger, alerting us to real or imagined threats. When we hear an urban legend, our brain reacts as if we were facing a real risk, activating the same warning mechanisms that keep us safe in everyday life. Superstition also plays a crucial role. The human mind has a natural tendency to look for patterns and connections, even when they don't exist. Thus, stories like the one about the hook become convincing because they evoke dangers that seem plausible. After all, how many times have we heard about crimes on deserted roads or attacks on unsuspecting drivers? Even if we have never experienced something similar, the mere fact that it is possible is enough to generate concern. Another psychological factor that keeps urban legends alive is our desire to make sense of the unknown. Unexplained situations or disturbing events often make us feel uncomfortable. To cope, we create narratives that help us organize the chaos and feel a little more in control. Urban legends function as cautionary tales. They tell us what to avoid, where not to go, and what behaviors can be dangerous. Thus, the tale of the hooked killer is not only a scary story, but also a warning. Beware of isolated places, be wary of strangers, and always be on the lookout for danger. Many urban legends reflect the fears of a time. In the 1950s, when the legend of Hook became popular, there was great concern about the morality of young people and the dangers of the modern world. Parents worried that their children would stray too far from traditional values, and stories like this served as a disguised warning. Today, urban legends have evolved to adapt to new fears. Stories about dangerous dating apps, cursed messages, and mysterious figures on the internet show that, despite living in a more technological world, our anxieties remain the same: fear of the unknown, of vulnerability, and of what might lurk in the shadows. Ultimately, urban legends aren't just scary stories, they're mirrors of our own fears. Whether it's fear of violence, the supernatural, or simply the unexpected, these narratives help us process real-world terrors, transforming them into something we can share, discuss, and ultimately try to understand. Urban legends aren't just scary stories told around campfires or whispered among friends. They've shaped our culture, influencing literature, film, and even music. More than just tales of terror, these narratives reflect our deepest fears and evolve with society. Over the years, many urban legends have come to life in film and literature. The story of the hook-wielding killer inspired iconic horror films such as I Know What You Did Last Summer, 1997, which introduced the idea of a vengeful stalker with a hook as a weapon. Similarly, Sleepy Hollow and The Ring have their roots in folk tales passed down from generation to generation. In the literary world, writers such as Stephen King explore the essence of urban legends, transforming rumors into terrifying stories. His books often address how collective fear can create dark realities, reinforcing the idea that legends not only reflect culture, but also influence it. Over time, urban legends have adapted to changes in society. Previously, they were stories told in person, but with the advancement of technology, they began to circulate through emails, forums, and social networks. New narratives have emerged, such as that of the man in the white van, a mysterious stranger who kidnaps children, reflecting modern fears of kidnapping and urban crime. Another example is Slender Man, a sinister figure that was born on the internet and quickly became one of the most popular legends of the digital age. Unlike classic stories which took decades to spread, Slender Man spread globally in a matter of days, proving that even in the modern world, fear still finds new ways to manifest itself. Urban legends don't just scare us, they connect us. When we hear a scary story and feel the chills, we know that other people have felt the same. This creates a sense of community, a shared experience of fear and fascination with the unknown. Now, we want to hear from you. Which urban legend has left the biggest impression on you? Have you ever had a strange experience that seemed to come from one of these tales? Share your thoughts in the comments and let's explore together the power of legends that live beyond the shadows. Urban legends are part of our collective imagination, haunting our minds and feeding our deepest fears. But behind every scary story, there's often a thread of truth, a real event that's been distorted and amplified by time, fear, and the human need to explain the unknown. Whether it's the story of the hooked killer, the Slender Man, or any other popular legend, there's always a reason these tales live on. They not only entertain us, but also reflect our deepest anxieties and concerns. However, it's essential to approach them with a critical eye. To what extent are these stories based on fact? Where does reality end and fiction begin? Now, I leave you with a challenge. Pick an urban legend that's always intrigued you and dig beneath the surface. Research its origins, discover its connections to real events, and try to understand how it's evolved over time. What you find may be even more fascinating and frightening than the legend itself. Have you ever heard a story that seemed real but later discovered it was just a myth? Share it in the comments. Let's uncover the secrets behind these dark narratives together.